Welcome to the official YouTube channel for the Colin Cowherd podcast. Go on, hit the subscribe button. There it is, so you don't miss any of our football content this season. It has been, if I might say, fantastic. When all your marketing team does is put out fires, they burn out fast. Sifting through leads, creating content for infinite channels, endlessly searching for disparate performance KPIs, all takes a toll. But with HubSpot, you can stop team burnout in its tracks. Plus, your team can achieve their best results without breaking a sweat. With Breeze, HubSpot's collection of AI tools, you can pinpoint the best leads possible, capture prospects' attention with click-worthy content, access all your company's data in one place, no sifting through tabs necessary. It's all waiting for your team in HubSpot. Keep your marketers cool and make your campaign results hotter than ever. Visit HubSpot.com/marketers to learn more. It's time to look at this weekend's tastiest matchup, Sunday Night Football, brought to you by Uber Eats. Okay, so we have to, let's pivot. Vikings 42, Atlanta 21. Good first half, and then Minnesota took over. I pushed back when you suggested that Minnesota may have to re-sign Sam Darnold. First of all, he's going to have a very tasty free agent market. Vegas, Giants, Tennessee, minimum, are going to at least look at it if they don't like Cam Ward. Shedeur Sanders will go number one to either Vegas or the Giants. I think he will. Not everybody's going to like Cam Ward. But if you look, in the last month, Darnold has 11 TDs, no picks. This receiving core, plus TJ Hawkinson, Jefferson and Addison had 5 touchdowns today. We got to be honest about this. In the history of the league, you could put him in a very Rich Gannon class. Like, nobody believes in him to he's a top 4 quarterback in the league playing right now. I'm watching Darnold make plays today. And our thing was, I think we both felt the same. Big, strong, athletic, coachable, tough kid. But his accuracy could be hit and miss. Well, Kevin O'Connell's taken the reckless out and elevated. You know, he's made it very intentional. Sam goes back to pass. You get a very intentional play. And if he has to ad-lib, which he did today, he's fantastic. He's not Lamar or Josh, but he is way high end in this league. He is in the Justin Herbert class. Like, I'm going to move and I'm going to crank it. And I never thought this. He's had one stinker all year. He had a couple picks against the Jags. They won that game. Remember that game down in Jacksonville? They were terrible in the red zone. So his stinker, they won. They could still be a number 1 seed. I think I'm sitting here thinking today, do you let him walk out of the building?
I think at minimum right now, he's in the category. If you don't want to do the long term, you got to franchise him. Right now, the problem with franchising, it's $41 million for a quarterback. And unlike these contracts, you don't get to push any of that off on, years in the future. He has 28 touchdowns right now, Colin. They have 4 games left. He has 28 touchdowns and they're 11-2. The one play you were alluding to when he scrambled around, he kind of did a 360, went across, threw it to Jefferson across his body. I thought that looked like Josh Allen.
Yeah.
And that was a play today. If you are the GM and the head coach, you go, this is exactly why we said, Kirk Cousins, we're not in the market for you anymore. Because you've never had that in the bag, but the version that we're seeing out of Cousins just got $100 million guaranteed. He hasn't thrown a touchdown in 4 weeks, and he's throwing picks just by multiple picks every game. I mean, he might be cooked. Like you saw today was a pivot point. One guy's career feels like it's kind of headed toward the drain. Like, is he even going to be starting next week? Yeah. And the other guy is exploding. And you use Rich Gannon as your example. Rich Gannon did not have this level arm. Rich Gannon did not. That was the knock on Rich, why a lot of people back in the day were like, it was hard for Gruden to sell Al Davis on Rich because he liked those big arm quarterbacks, and that wasn't Rich, but Rich was really accurate. Sam Darnold, 68% this season, Colin. 68%.
Crazy.
Now, listen, he's going to turn the ball over a little bit. He's got 10 picks, probably end up with 13 or 14. How often do you watch him and you just see him explode the ball down the field? Well, now that their left tackle's injured, the best 2 players on the Vikings are the 2 wideouts. So those guys are thriving under Sam. How could you? I've said before, today is a great example. He threw 5 touchdowns against a team with a lot of good defensive secondary pieces.
Yeah.
In your wildest dreams, you would desire JJ to become this player one day, to be that good, what we witnessed today. And the chances, based on the history of we all watching the NFL and knowing how hard this league is, it's less than 50% he's ever that good. Well, Sam currently is this good and now has this, I would say, resume of life in the league of building on calluses, going through adversity, being very confident in himself, but having humility to know how hard it is. Like he's seen it all. He has seen the worst of the worst. And then with Kyle and now Kevin O'Connell, I understand that they drafted a quarterback, but sometimes things change. I mean, the 49ers drafted Trey Lance and they pivoted in the blink of an eye to Purdy.
Yep.
And sometimes isn't that part? You started the volume, like pivot fast, right? I mean, Sam Darnold. Yeah, so what? He's going to cost you a lot of money. If he's a top 5 or 6 quarterback in the NFC, I mean, this year, how many NFC quarterbacks are better than him? He's better than Jalen Hurts right now.
Well, we're talking about Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield had a good quarter today, but was awful for long stretches in the game. Awful. Geno Smith.
3 turnovers.
Yeah, Baker was awful. And that, by the way, and I've tried to be very positive with Baker because I was so rough on him early, but he can be really reckless, and you can't coach that out of him. He's just a different personality. He literally lives for Chip on his shoulder. Sam doesn't have that. Sam's not trying to prove anything other than I'm good. Sam's like a beach boy. He's having a good time. He's a Oceanside, linebacker basketball. He's an athlete. He's a great kid. Baker's got that chip a mile long. Baker's battled his own family at times. It's part of his great fabric and his story I love. But Geno Smith, there's limitations. Baker is reckless. Darnold, you're getting a higher upside with I always thought Baker was a better pure pocket passer. This year, I'm not sure. And some of it's Justin Jefferson, but it's not like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and the guys down there are bad either. I just think letting him walk out the door. What if he goes to an NFC team?
Yeah, to me, though, use Baker as a good example. Aren't we all a little bit of a product of our past? I mean, Baker was a walk-on at Texas Tech at 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold, 6'4" at USC. Right. in the most turmoil time in the history of the program leads him to 11+ wins. I mean, in the ugliness of the mid 2010s, he's a strapping big arm, like he's a blue chipper.
He won a Rose Bowl against a good Penn State team with a really bad college football coach and no pros around him. You go back to that year and it was hero ball. That's all it was.
I'm pro Baker and he's really matured. He's become a good player, but the skill set of the two, Sam is the more dynamic player. Yes. And looking back, like if you did a redraft, I think both of them probably aren't going 1 and 3, but clearly they've lived up to they're going to play in the league for a long time. Sam's high end is higher than Baker because his mobility
bigger.
And I just think it's pretty clear. You watch Sam, he's got an explosive arm and on the move, he can really sling it. And that's the playmaking Minnesota. What limited that team the last couple of years? Cousins was a stagnant, can't move if you throw him off his spot. Sam's unfazed. Got to ad-lib? No problem. Let's rip.
That was this week's Sunday Night Foodball, brought to you by Uber Eats as the official on-demand delivery partner of the NFL. Uber Eats has the best game day deals all season long. I use it every weekend. Order now for game day.